Imagine if Anakin Skywalker, at the height of his power, refused to fight his former master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, on Mustafar. What would happen if, instead of clashing in that fateful duel, Anakin chose a different path? In this alternate Star Wars timeline, we explore how a single choice could alter the course of galactic history, transforming the lives of the characters we know and love. The volcanic planet of Mustafar, where tension between Anakin and Obi-Wan is at its peak, becomes the stage for a crucial moment. Anakin, consumed by the dark side, has just choked Padme into unconsciousness. The fire of rage that drove him is still burning hot. But suddenly, the sight of Padme's lifeless body on the ground sends a jolt through his mind. What has he done? How has it come to this? The love he had for her, the very reason he took this dark path, now lies before him, cold and unmoving. Anakin's mind becomes a battlefield. The dark side whispers promises of power, of control, and the ability to prevent the future he fears. The images flash through his mind: Padme dying, the galaxy falling into chaos, and himself as the Dark Lord, ruling with an iron fist. But something else breaks through the fog: the memory of love, friendship, and the man he once was. Obi-Wan's voice echoes in his ears, not the angry condemnation he expected, but something far more painful: disappointment and sorrow. Obi-Wan steps forward, his voice trembling with emotion. "Anakin, you don't have to do this. You're being manipulated. The vision you saw, it isn't absolute. The future is always in motion, always changing. Don't let this path destroy you." Anakin hesitates, his breath heavy and ragged. He sees flashes of his mother's death, his slaughter of the Tusken Raiders, the duel with Count Dooku, and finally, the betrayal he felt from the Jedi Council. All these memories fuel his rage, but within them, there's a seed of doubt. What if these visions of the future are not set in stone? What if he can change his fate without succumbing to the dark side? Obi-Wan, sensing Anakin's hesitation, continues to appeal to him, speaking not just as a Jedi, but as a friend, a brother. "Anakin, you've been my brother, my comrade, and my closest friend. I've watched you grow from a boy into a powerful Jedi, but power alone doesn't define us. It's our choices that do. You still have a choice. This path doesn't have to end in darkness." Anakin struggles, torn between the love he has for Padme, the fear of losing her, and the overwhelming darkness that has consumed him. His heart and mind are at war, each beat echoing with the choices he's made and the path that still lies ahead. He remembers the countless times he was told that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. But could he break this cycle? Could he turn away from the path he has set upon? In that moment, Padme stirs, her eyes fluttering open. She looks at Anakin, her voice weak but filled with love. "Anakin, I love you. Please, be with me." Her words pierce through the darkness that has clouded Anakin's mind. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, he sees clearly. He sees the suffering he has caused, the pain in Padme's eyes, the devastation he has wrought on the galaxy, all because of his fear, the fear of losing her. Anakin's heart breaks as he realizes the damage he has caused. The visions that Palpatine used to manipulate him suddenly seem like a distant nightmare. He drops his lightsaber, rushing to Padme's side, tears filling his eyes. "I'm sorry, Padme. I'm so sorry," he cries, his voice breaking. He cradles her head in his arms, the overwhelming guilt washing over him. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt you. I was so afraid of losing you. But in trying to save you, I've destroyed everything we loved." Obi-Wan watches, torn between the duty he knows he must uphold and the love he still holds for his fallen brother. He kneels beside Anakin, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You are still my brother, Anakin. Padme loves you. You've made a terrible mistake, but it's not too late. I'm here for you, Anakin. I've always been here for you. Let's get Padme to safety, and then we'll figure out the rest." Anakin nods, his heart heavy with guilt, but buoyed by the love that still surrounds him. The weight of his actions bears down on him, but for the first time, he feels a glimmer of hope, a chance to atone for his sins, to make things right. But this is not the end. They must act quickly to save Padmé. As Obi-Wan moves to lift her, Anakin reaches out to help, only to hear the sinister sound of a shuttle landing nearby. A dark presence descends upon Mustafar, palpable even amidst the heat and chaos of the volcanic world. Palpatine has arrived. Palpatine, sensing the shift in Anakin's allegiance, emerges from the shadows, his face a mask of cold fury. The Sith Lord's plans are unraveling before his eyes, and he is determined to reclaim his apprentice by any means necessary. "Anakin!" Palpatine hisses, his voice dripping with venom. "You've betrayed me. After everything I have done for you, after all the power I have given you, you would turn your back on me for this?" Anakin stands tall, placing himself between Palpatine and Padmé. The fire of Mustafar reflects in his eyes, but it is no longer the fire of the dark side. It is the fire of a man determined to protect the ones he loves. "Yes, I've betrayed you," Anakin replies, his voice steady but filled with contempt. "But I've also betrayed everyone I love. Padmé, Obi-Wan, the Jedi. But no more. I won't let you manipulate me any longer." Palpatine's face contorts with rage, his yellow eyes glowing with hatred. He raises his hand, and the very air around him crackles with dark energy. "You are a fool, Skywalker. Without me, you are nothing. You think you can defy the Sith? You think you can save her now? Your weakness is your downfall." He lets out a sinister laugh, the sound echoing through the molten landscape. "Then you choose death, my apprentice." Anakin's heart pounds in his chest, but he stands his ground, lightsaber ignited and ready. "I am not your apprentice. I was never meant to be." There is a finality in his voice, a determination that has not been there before. For the first time, Anakin feels truly free, not from the Jedi, not from the Sith, but from the fear that has controlled him for so long. The duel begins. A ferocious battle of light versus dark, each strike of the lightsabers igniting the air with energy. Palpatine is relentless, his attacks swift and merciless. He unleashes a torrent of Force lightning, sending Anakin and Obi-Wan reeling. The two Jedi struggle to regain their footing, but Palpatine presses the attack, his lightsaber flashing through the air with deadly precision. Anakin, despite his resolve, finds himself pushed to the limit. Every ounce of his strength is required just to keep up with the relentless assault. The dark side flows through Palpatine like a flood, each strike of his blade driven by centuries of accumulated hatred and anger. Obi-Wan, sensing the danger, moves to intervene, his lightsaber intercepting Palpatine's strikes with precision and grace. The two Jedi fight side by side, their bond as brothers evident in every coordinated move, every shared glance. But even together, they are barely able to hold their own against the Sith Lord. The air around them crackles with energy, the heat of the planet mixing with the cold fury of the dark side. Palpatine's mastery of the dark side is overwhelming. He twists the very elements of the Force against them, conjuring dark illusions, manipulating their perceptions, and striking with brutal efficiency. Anakin and Obi-Wan are forced to draw on every ounce of their training, every lesson they've learned to counter his attacks, but the toll is heavy. The ground beneath them trembles, lava spews into the air, and the very environment seems to conspire against them. Palpatine's laughter echoes over the battlefield, a sound filled with malice and cruelty. Realizing the battle is turning against them, Obi-Wan tries to retreat to save Padme. "Anakin, we need to get out of here. We can't defeat him like this." But Anakin refuses to back down. "Take Padme and go," Anakin commands, his voice filled with desperation and determination. "I'll hold him off. I can't let him win, not after everything." Obi-Wan hesitates, torn between his duty to protect Padme and his desire to stand by his friend. He knows Anakin is right. Padme must be saved. Reluctantly, he agrees, rushing to Padme, lifting her into his arms. As Obi-Wan's ship lifts off, he watches with dread as Anakin and Palpatine's battle fades into the distance, the fires of Mustafar casting a hellish glow on the landscape. Alone, Anakin faces the full might of the Emperor. Every swing of his lightsaber, every surge of the Force is fueled by his desperation to right his wrongs. But Palpatine is relentless, his mastery of the dark side overwhelming. The two engage in a battle that defies imagination, their lightsabers a blur of motion, their powers clashing in a display of pure energy. The very air vibrates with the intensity of their duel. "You were destined for greatness, Anakin," Palpatine sneers as their blades clash, "but you are weak. You could have ruled the galaxy by my side, brought order to the chaos. Instead, you choose to die for a woman who would never understand your power." He presses the attack, forcing Anakin back, his strikes becoming more brutal, more focused. "You could have been a god, but now you are nothing." Anakin's resolve is tested as he fights to defend himself, but Palpatine's words cut deep. He lashes out with renewed vigor, his lightsaber spinning in a deadly arc. For a moment, it seems as if he might gain the upper hand, but Palpatine counters with a surge of dark energy, throwing Anakin off balance. The battle rages on, the ground beneath them cracking and breaking apart under the strain of their powers. The very planet seems to be tearing itself apart in response to their clash. Anakin fights with everything he has, drawing on both the light and dark sides of the Force, but Palpatine is too powerful, too experienced. Blow after blow, Anakin is pushed back, until finally, Palpatine delivers a devastating strike that leaves Anakin gravely wounded, his limbs severed, his body broken. Anakin collapses near the edge of a lava flow, his lightsaber falling from his grasp. He tries to move, to fight back, but his body is too damaged. The heat of the lava is unbearable, searing his flesh as he lies there, helpless. Palpatine stands over him, his expression cold and pitiless. "This is the fate you chose, Anakin Skywalker, a pathetic end for a pathetic man." Satisfied that his former apprentice is no longer a threat, Palpatine turns and walks away, leaving Anakin to die. As the Emperor retreats to his shuttle, the ground beneath Anakin begins to give way, the heat and pressure of the planet tearing it apart. The Emperor's shadow looms over the galaxy, but Anakin's fight is over, or so it seems. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan has delivered Padme to the medical facility. The doctors work frantically to save her, but her condition is dire. As they fight to keep her alive, Obi-Wan's mind is elsewhere, filled with fear and regret. He knows he cannot leave Anakin behind. After ensuring Padme is in capable hands, he returns to Mustafar, his heart heavy with dread, searching for his fallen brother. The scene he returns to is one of devastation. The once molten rivers of lava have cooled into jagged ridges of rock, the air thick with ash and smoke. The ground is treacherous with cracks and fissures everywhere, the planet's violent upheaval making it nearly impossible to navigate. But Obi-Wan is relentless in his search. He moves through the ruins, calling out for Anakin, but there is no response. Only the eerie silence of a world on the brink of destruction. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Obi-Wan spots something in the distance, a figure, motionless, near the edge of a lava flow. As he approaches, his heart sinks. It's Anakin, or what remains of him. Anakin is severely injured, his limbs severed, lying close to the encroaching lava. His once vibrant and powerful presence is now reduced to a broken shell of a man. Obi-Wan rushes to his side, cradling Anakin's head in his arms, trying to comfort him in his final moments. Obi-Wan's voice is filled with desperation, but deep down he knows that it's too late. Anakin's breath is ragged, his eyes barely open. He knows his time is short, the pain almost unbearable, but there is a brief moment of peace in seeing Obi-Wan one last time. The man who was once his master, his mentor, and his friend is here with him in his final moments. It brings him a measure of comfort, but it also deepens his regret. "Is she safe?" Anakin asks, struggling to speak, each word a monumental effort. Obi-Wan nods, trying to hold back tears. "She's safe, Anakin. You saved her." Anakin sighs in relief, tears beginning to well up in his eyes. "I failed you, Obi-Wan. I failed everyone. I betrayed everything I loved. Because of me, so many are suffering. I'm sorry, Obi-Wan. I'm so sorry." Obi-Wan tears streaming down his face, responds with a voice full of pain and love. "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. And despite everything, I still do. Padme loved you too. I know you made a terrible mistake, but I'm still here, Anakin. I promise you, I'll do everything I can to set things right. You know I've always been there to clean up your mess." Obi-Wan tries to smile through his tears, a bittersweet attempt to comfort his dying friend. It's a small, fragile smile, a faint echo of the bond they once shared, a bond that transcended duty and the Jedi Code. Anakin, with a faint smile, whispers, "I know you will, Obi-Wan, my brother." With those final words, Anakin's eyes close. His body relaxes as he passes away, a tear slipping down his cheek. The Chosen One, who was supposed to bring balance to the Force, meets his end not as Darth Vader, but as Anakin Skywalker, in a moment of peace and redemption. The weight of his actions is lifted, if only for a brief moment, as he finds solace in the presence of his brother. The ground beneath them begins to tremble as the unstable planet starts to erupt. Lava flows closer, threatening to consume everything. Obi-Wan, his heart shattered, knows he must leave. He stands, looking down at Anakin's lifeless body one last time, tears still in his eyes. "Farewell, Anakin," he whispers, his voice breaking under the weight of his grief. He knows that this is the end of an era, the end of a man who could have been the greatest of all Jedi. Obi-Wan rushes back to his ship, the ground shaking violently as he takes off. From the sky, he watches as the lava engulfs the spot where Anakin's body lay, a final, fiery goodbye to his fallen brother. He struggles to keep his emotions in check, knowing that he must remain strong for what comes next. The image of the lava consuming Anakin's body is seared into his mind, a symbol of the destruction that fear and anger can bring, but also of the possibility of redemption, even in the darkest of times. Obi-Wan arrives at the medical facility, his face etched with sorrow. The medical staff inform him that Padme is alive, but weakening fast. As he enters her room, he sees her holding her newborn twins, her strength fading. The sight of the infants, Luke and Leia, fills him with a profound sense of responsibility. These children are the future, the hope that Anakin sought to protect even in his final moments. Padme weakly asks, "Where is Anakin?" Her voice is faint, but there is still a glimmer of hope in her eyes, a hope that Obi-Wan dreads to extinguish. Obi-Wan, struggling to speak, replies, He's gone, Padme. But he came back to us. In the end, he found the light again." Padme, tears of both sadness and joy in her eyes, smiles faintly. The news brings her a small measure of peace, knowing that Anakin did not die a monster, but as the man she loved. With those final words, Padme breathes her last. Obi-Wan, overwhelmed with grief, cradles the twins as they cry out, the weight of their future now resting heavily on his shoulders. The galaxy mourns the loss of Padme Amidala, a beacon of hope and peace, and the fall of Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi Knight who could have been their savior. As time passes, the events play out similarly to the original trilogy, but without Vader to enforce Palpatine's will, the Empire faces greater challenges. Without Vader, the Rebel Alliance finds it easier to gain ground against the Empire. Palpatine, though still powerful, lacks his greatest enforcer, making the struggle for control more difficult. The rebellion that would have been crushed under the heel of Darth Vader instead finds new strength in the absence of his fearsome presence. Luke and Leia grow up unaware of their father's identity, but the absence of Vader's shadow over their lives gives them a different path. They still rise to become the heroes of the rebellion, but with an easier road to victory. The battles are still fought, the sacrifices still made, but the outcome is more hopeful, more assured. The galaxy remembers Anakin Skywalker not as the feared Darth Vader, but as a tragic hero who, in the end, chose to fight for what was right. His story becomes a tale of redemption and the power of love and forgiveness, a symbol of hope that even the darkest of paths can lead back to the light. In his solitude, Obi-Wan reflects on the events, holding on to the memory of his brother, Anakin. He knows that the galaxy is forever changed, but he also knows that Anakin's final act was one of redemption. With the twins safe and the future of the galaxy more hopeful, Obi-Wan prepares for his next mission, to watch over Luke on Tatooine, ensuring that the light Anakin found in his final moments lives on in his son. The twin suns of Tatooine set on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the desert landscape. Obi-Wan stands, looking out, the wind gently blowing his robes. Softly, he whispers to the sky, "Rest in peace, Anakin. The galaxy will remember the good you did." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of an alternate Star Wars timeline, make sure to hit the like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what other what-if scenarios you'd like us to dive into next. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new video. May the Force be with you.